Alright, hey guys, remember CCG, and I'm here to bring you a new deck profile. So this is Paleozoic Frogs, and yeah, let's just get started. So as you guys can see, it's already a 47. It's a 47 card deck, which is it's a lot, but I think there's some cards that you might be able to cut out. There's definitely a lot of cards you don't really need to have. The great thing about this deck is that if you find a lot of traps that you like, you can just implement them into the deck, and as long as they're normal trap cards, you're able to use them. Pretty much like any normal trap card you want to use. But yeah, which is the nice thing about it. But I'll show you guys why I think it's like deceptively bigger than it actually is, because you can there's different ways for you to thin it out. But yeah, let's just get started. So we have two Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So Lord of the Heavenly Prison is pretty nice because it protects your set cards. Now, a big weakness of this deck is that if they force you to activate your set cards, it just puts you in a like really bad position. Let's say you first turn you set like 4 cards, and then it's their turn. They have a Harpy's Feather Duster, or some sort of a card that can wipe your board, or destroy a few more spells or traps than you want to deal with, like Twin Twister. Then you can so you're just gonna activate this during your turn, and then until the end of your opponent's turn, these cards are protected. And then while this card is revealed by this effect, set cards in the field cannot be destroyed by card effects, and then if a set spell or trap is activated, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can set one spell or trap directly from your deck. So this card is extremely, it's able to special summon itself, and it serves as protection, which is really nice to have for this deck. And it's it's a 3,000 attack monster, and this deck it's not able to like supply a lot of beaters, so having this is pretty necessary for me. It is an expensive card though, so if you do want to run a more budget build, this is probably going to be one of the cards you're going to want to cut off. But I think it is a really nice card to have, and once you get the once you're able to afford it, I would suggest getting it because it's really nice, especially for this deck. And then here I run 3 Swap Frogs, 2 Ronin Totem, and 3 Dupe Frogs. This is kind of standard. Swap Frog kind of goes into, you can like ditch the Ronin Totem, and then once you get another frog in there, you can just summon the Ronin Totem and then get like a whole lot of value, and it just gives you something to do during your turn, as a lot of times you're just gonna have traps to set and then end your turn. But with this, you're able to summon totally awesome, and just have something on the board before you end your turn. And then here I run 2 Absolute King Backjack. So Absolute King Backjack is really nice, just because he is able to, it just serves as a card that's able to, when it's sent to the grave, it lets you excavate 3 cards, and if it's when it's sent to the grave, it lets you excavate 3 cards from the top of your deck and then place them, in the order that you like. And then during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card from the grave, excavate the top card, and if it's a trap card, you just put it there. So it's just a nice free way to go into dig into your deck a bit. Here I have Reasoning. You don't run a lot of monsters, and they're all able to be summoned with this. And since you have some level variation, if they know what you're playing, they could probably safely go for 2. But you could get like Lord of the Heavenly Prison or Absolute King Backjack, which is just nice. And milling, I think, is really great for this deck, and this is an efficient way of doing it. And you don't run a lot that stops it, except for Imperial Order, so it works pretty well with the deck, in my opinion. But yeah, and then Paleozoic Leoncoila. So this card just targets one of your banished cards and then returns it to grave. I run 3 of these because I think it's really nice for this sort of build, where you're just able to recycle the Rise to Full Heights, Lost Wind, the Absolute King Backjack, and your other Paleozoics if you need them. You're just able to recycle them and able to summon them again. So yeah, it's really nice. 3 Canadia. It's a Book of Moon, which is nice. Allinoids is a MST, so I run 3 of that. 2 Deinamiscus, I run 2 of them. It serves as a way to banish your opponent's cards, but it does require you to discard a card, so that's not great. But I think 2 of them is nice because just being able to banish a card is pretty nice, and definitely necessary to have in some level. Just 3 of definitely will be too much. And then 2 Marilla, because you're just able to send a trap from your deck to the grave, so you can just use that to go to your Rise to Full Heights or your other Paleozoics. Imperial Order, because you do want to slow down your opponent so you're able to actually play the game, because if you don't slow them down in some degree, then they're just gonna like mow through you. 3, rise to full heights, kind of the same reason as Imperial Order. It just serves as a way to protect yourself. The main thing is when it's in the grave, you can banish it and then target a monster you control. Your opponent's monster cannot attack for the rest of the turn except to attack that monster, so it just buys you a turn, because once they get rid of that monster, they're not able to attack for the rest of the turn. And then you could just use, as I was saying, the Coila to target one of your banished cards, which would be Rise to Full Heights, and then keep on putting it in the grave. So yeah, just nice. And then as I was saying, where it's deceptively big, 3 Reckless Greed is you're just drawing into your deck. You do skip your next 2 draw phases, but you just want to have as much value as you can have at the moment. And if you're able to stack these, you don't have to wait. So let's say you activate 2 of them at the same time. You draw 4 cards and you still only skip your next 2 draw phases. You don't skip your next 4 draw phases. So the more you have, the more value you get out of them. So it's definitely nice. And the Transmigration Prophecy, I run 3 of these because they just serve as a way to just slow down your opponent if they need cards in their grave. This is a great way to get rid of them. And if your opponent doesn't really need it, then this is a great card to side out. Lost Wind, it just serves as like your sort of negate for the deck. You can also run like Infinite Imperm in the deck. The deck was already tight as it is, but Lost Wind I think gave you the most value, as you're able to just set it back if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck. So this card's really nice for that. Trap Trick is another way where it just adds more. So like I was saying with Reckless Greed, where it like adds up to the deck count. Trap Trick also adds to like the amount of cards in the deck, but it's a nice way to give you access to all of your trap cards except for Imperial Order and the Solemn Strike. But it just gives you access to these cards, and it's a great card for that. You just have to make sure you use this near the end, because you can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of the turn after this card resolves. So you want to make sure you get the rest of your value here. Needlebug Nest, I know some people aren't running it. I think it's great. I think Needlebug Nest is again, you just need milling, because you want to have these cards in your grave in order to be able to activate them and actually special summon them. And Needlebug Nest is a great way of doing that. So I find having 3 of them is really nice, and you can sometimes get a King Backjack, and that's always great to have there. Solemn Strike, you can't special summon them to Solemn Strike, but having a negate, as a way to negate a monster effect or when a monster would be summoned is great, and it just slows them down a little. And I think that's great to have. This deck is slow, and you just want ways to slow down your opponent so you're able to play. Yeah, and then let's see. So here, I guess I'll just start with the 3 Totally Awesome. So the Totally Awesome is amazing. It's your Omni Negate, and it's what you usually summon out, or that's what I usually summon out. It's just your Omni Negate, and it enables some frog plays. And then you just get more value out of it once it's sent to the grave. So you're just able to recycle these frogs, and then usually you can get another one out pretty easily if you just like search out a swap frog and like you already have your Ronin Totem in the grave because you already had a Totally Awesome. Then you can just use swap frog to send like a dupe or one of these other ones, and then just banish it for Ronin Totem, and then boom, you can exceed them, get another Totally Awesome. So that's amazing, and that always works for me. So I guess we could start with this. I'll go with Opabania. So Opabania, it lets you. So remember, all the Paleozoics are unaffected by monster effects, and a lot of people don't seem to be aware of this, or just don't read it. I have a few opponents that target it with effects, and that's totally fine. You can target it with effects. It's just not affected by the effect of that monster. So it's just a great way. It's stronger than people realize, and I think that's what's great about it. And yeah, this allows you to activate Paleozoic traps from your hand, and it's a way to search them out. So it's pretty great if you're able to just search out any Paleozoic card that you need at the moment, and activate it there. So that's nice. And then I guess I'll go to the other Paleozoic. So Anomalocaris requires 3 more level 2 monsters, and it's again unaffected by monster effects. And then once per turn, when a trap card is sent from the spell or trap zone to the graveyard, you can activate the top card from your deck, and if it's a trap, you can add it to your hand. Otherwise, send it to the grave. which is great. And then once returned during either player's turn, if this card is a trap card as extreme material, you can attach one material, then target one card in the field, destroy it. So it's just it's harder to summon because it requires 3 or more level 2 monsters, so you're probably not going to summon it a lot, and I haven't summoned it too much. But it's just an option if you're able to actually summon it out. And yeah, so the Sky Cavalry Centauria, I guess we could go through this. So this one, I mainly just summon it if I can't like break, if my opponent has a monster that I can't break over or destroy through battle. So I just summon this, and then I attack with it. He can't be destroyed by battle while it has an exceed material. And then I could detach one material, return the opponent's monster from the field to the hand if I want to. Yeah, usually once I attack with these guys and I don't need them anymore, I can just exceed or overlay them into a Downward Magician, and then from there go into a Zeus, which I run to Zeus because I think it's great. And you're always able to go into it as you're always attacking with these guys. And Zeus is just a really good option to have as a board wipe, because sometimes it can get overwhelming with what they're running, and just being able to wipe the board and start with a clean slate could be really nice. And what's nice about this is that your Paleozoics are unaffected by monster effects, so they stay on the field. So that's nice to have. Access Code Talker, again, like I was saying, there's not a lot of ways to build up attack in this deck, so this is one of your biggest monsters that you can go into. And Nightmare Unicorn is a great way to link climb into it. Marince's Coral Anemone, it lets you target one water monster with 1500 or less attack in your grave, so summon it to its own discard points to. Again, it just enables plays as these guys are targets, the frogs. And again, if you're trying to link climb with that, that's a great way of going about it. Paleozoic Cambrorster requires 2 Paleozoic monsters, and it's unaffected by other monster effects. And then you can target one set card in your spell and trap card zone, send it to grave, and if you do, set one Paleozoic trap from your deck. And then what's nice is that when this card is in the graveyard, if a set card you control be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish it from the field or grave. But if you're mostly going to use it if it's in the grave. But again, I don't go into it a lot. Really, you can side it out or just not have it in your deck at all. But I think it's nice to have like all the Paleozoics that we have right now. And I think this is a decent one that comes in handy. Not a lot, but sometimes. Link Haribo for the Absolute King Back Jack. If you normal summon it, you're just going to want to get rid of it as soon as possible. And this is a great way of going about it. And then here are like the side cards. Well, these side cards are cards for you guys to consider. So here I have Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. So it's just a cheaper option if you're not able to afford like the Access Code Talker. It's a little bit harder to go into than the Access Code Talker because this is just 2 plus effect monsters, but this requires 2 monster special summon from the extra deck. So if you're able to just link climb and you need that extra special summon monster from the extra deck, that's why I have like the Link Spider in here, and also for like monsters that require 2 plus effect monsters like Access Code Talkers, Access Code Talker. So Link Spider is great as another option. Nightmare Phoenix, if you're also trying to link climb, this is a decent option. I just never go into it, so I just decided not to go with it. Borosword Dragon is like a cheaper option to Access Code Talker. Again, I don't go into it a lot, so I decided not to run it. But I just wanted to keep the option in there, so in case you guys want to run a cheaper build of this. Speaking of which, the Sky Cavalry Centauria is pretty expensive, and what sucks about it is that it is kind of necessary. I think it's like 20. I hope it's like 20. But yeah, it's 20, but I think it's either 20 or 30. I hope it's 20. But it's a really nice card to have as if you're not able to beat into something, then you can just go into this, attack it, and then go into like a Zeus. So it's really nice to have, and I think it's pretty necessary, I think. But yeah, and then we have the Lost One here, an extra copy if you want to go into 3 of, because the Lost One is really nice. Anti-Spell Fragrance. You want to have ways to slow down your opponent. So if your opponent runs like a spell-oriented deck, this could be extremely nice. Nice way to slow them down. If you want to even run this in your side deck to get rid of like the Transmigration Prophecy, if your opponent doesn't use their graveyard that much, you can get an Anti-Spell Fragrance, 3 of them in here, switch it out. And then this one, not a lot of people run Paleozoic Pikaia. for good reason. It's hard to like pull off, but I think it's interesting that you could discard one Paleozoic card and then draw 2 cards. I think there's something there. Maybe not now, but I think it's something to consider. And if you're able to cut down this deck by a considerable amount and get it to like a 40 card deck, and you're able to then you can try like putting this in here, and possibly being able to use it. As you're able to have more likely to have Paleozoics in your hand that you're willing to discard. Again, it's a little harder though because all of them are pretty useful. The only one I could see is like Deinonychus. Can sometimes be, if you don't have a card to discard, then maybe you just want to use Deinonychus. But again, I would want to have this and then maybe discard this to do a banish. So Colia could be a decent one if you don't have anything to banish at the moment. And it's like your first turn and you don't see yourself needing it. Then you can try discarding that draw too. But yeah, these are just options for you guys to consider. What do you guys think of the deck profile? I also want to say thanks for like 100 subs. It's amazing that you guys sub and are enjoying the videos. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this deck profile, or if you guys want to see test hands or anything about this deck. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.